Today we'll be checking out another full PC build. This time around we have a powered by ASUS build in collaboration with IT World. We'll check out the component choices, the performance, of course the aesthetics, and share with you if this is something you should consider for your new build. Find out more in this review of the IT World Aries TND powered by ASUS gaming PC build. Keep watching. What's up guys, your boy Boss Mac, back to gaming.com, and today we're checking out this gaming PC. Unlike the previous partnership builds we've reviewed, this time around it's more of a loose prescription rather than a pre-built of sorts. In partnership with IT World, ASUS is offering this fully built gaming PC under their Powered by ASUS program. Before we begin, a disclaimer. This is not a build recommendation video. We are reviewing this PC build as it was provided to us. This is not a 205K gaming PC build guide. We'll definitely talk about their part selection and of course performance and ultimately value. How good is the gaming experience? Is a 12th generation Intel Core i7 enough to complement the RTX 4080? We'll discuss all of that and more in this review. Also, full disclosure, ASUS and Intel sponsored this video to let you know about their Powered by ASUS program. Powered by ASUS is a global program across more than 40 countries and involves over 500 partners who provide the very best customized systems. Offering a wide array of world-class motherboard, graphics cards, monitors, routers, chassis, and peripherals to choose from, these customized systems are designed to cater to the varying needs of users. The result is a totally tailored rig with seamless fusion of synchronized features, aesthetic finesse, and fine-tuned performance. Marketing jargons aside, Powered by ASUS is basically full ASUS builds in collaboration with dealers and retailers who don't particularly offer boutique PC builds of their own. With the exception of the CPU, the RAM, and storage, all of the components operate in one way or another to ASUS's ecosystem. And that leads us to the parts breakdown of this Powered by ASUS build from IT World. We'll be working our way from the outside in, and we won't be tearing the build down. We have individual reviews of nearly all the components used in this build. If you need more information, links will be down at the description. This bundle is housed in ASUS's latest top gaming chassis, the GT502. This dual chamber chassis offers massive space inside its industrial muscular build and really commands attention. As mentioned, this build arrived fully built, but thanks to the handle on top, it's easy to grab onto the case and move it around. And it also doubles as a keyboard holder of sorts. The top gaming GT502 supports triple 360mm radiators, one on top, one on the bottom, and one at the back. So if you ever plan to go full custom loop, you'll have plenty of space with this chassis for your radiators. While focusing on the IT World build, its default cooling is the new ROG Strix LC2 ARGB 360mm AIO liquid CPU cooler. This cools the CPU, which is a 12th generation Intel Core i7-12700KF unlocked 8-core CPU. Hosting all our components is the motherboard, namely the ASUS ROG Strix B660-F gaming Wi-Fi. The actual retail unit though will have a more recent motherboard, namely the ROG Strix B760-F gaming Wi-Fi, so please take note of that if ever you realize there is differences. Anyway, moving on, this is complemented by 32GB of DDR5 5200, the T-Force Delta Tough Gaming Special Edition RGB Dual Channel Kit. The system has a single Gen 4 SSD with modest capacity of 500GB. It is a PNY CS3040 M.2 SSD. All of this is powered by ASUS's ROG Tor 1000 watts power supply. And lastly, the pièce de résistance, this Powered by ASUS IT World build features an ROG Strix RTX 4080 OC Edition graphics card. My script says as shown in our clips. Obviously, it is right here, and this build has a decent amount of RGB, not a lot. So starting with the cooler, you get that subtle lighting also on the motherboard and this bit of light on the graphics card. But how a case looks usually correlates to the owner's personality. In the ASUS TUF Gaming GT502 looks and acts like a tank in sheer size. While it's relatively standard in terms of ATX case height, its dual chamber width means it's at least 130% wider than standard ATX cases as well. This benefits the builds in terms of expandability. The TUF Gaming GT502 supports multiple radiators, as well as larger graphics cards, and also includes a vertical mounting bracket if you want to orient your GPU vertically. But how is the default cooling? Loading the CPU with Cinebench, we get around 79 to 84 degrees Celsius peak temperature range when under heavy load with Cinebench R23. In gaming, the CPU is a bit more chill at 62 degrees Celsius, while on average, our GPU sits just below 60 degrees Celsius in 1440p, and bumping it up to 4K, the ASUS ROG Strix RTX 4080 just gets a little bit more warmer at 62 degrees Celsius. With fan control set to out-of-box settings on the IT World build, here's a temperature ramp test by thermal probes mounted on various parts of the build as we load the system with Cyberpunk 2077 for a 30-minute gaming session. Room ambient wobbles by 2 degrees Celsius from 22 to 24 degrees Celsius, but internal case thermals sits just around 26 degrees Celsius. The GPU probe is mounted on the backplate of the GPU and the board probe is on the BRM heatsink. So we can see more movement in the temperatures on the motherboard, but the GPU remains relatively steady, so overall thermals are quite controlled. Now it's time to discuss performance. Starting off with our 18-game average, the IT World ASUS build does around 274 FPS across 18 games on 1080p and just 254 FPS on 1440p. Just in case you wanted to upgrade the GPU, we also have the results with the IT World PC equipped with an RTX 4090, which has a 1440p 18-game average of 266 FPS. That is just a slight 5% improvement between the system in 1440p. In 4K though, this difference jumps to 19% in favor of the 1490 build. Looking at specific titles like Cyberpunk 2077, we see huge performance difference going to a 4090 with this game, but we've also included our Back to Gaming Intel test bench featuring a 13th generation Intel Core i9 13900K and faster DDR5 6400 memory. Cyberpunk 2077 is a GPU-intensive game, and the results show that an RTX 4090 is still the better performance multiplier in these kinds of games. Our test bench only bumps up the performance on the RTX 4080 by only 3%. Similar behavior can be observed in Modern Warfare 2 as well as The Witcher 3 with the next-gen patch. Where the CPU does make a difference is in games like Valorant, which is the IT World system, putting out 666 FPS on average at 1440p versus our test bench, which pumps out 975 average frames per second. If you plan to use this for a competitive esports rig, then a CPU swap could be in order, especially if you play 1080p. But in 1440p, Valorant seems to be the only outlier for QHD frame rate. So before we close, this review will have a companion article that displays all the game performance benchmarks we have for all the 18 games we tested, plus ray tracing and DLSS performance testing. So going back to all our questions from the start of this video, is the CPU enough for our GPU? Are the parts well selected? How good of a value is the IT World powered by ASUS gaming PC build? Performance will largely be based on what kind of games you play. Our benchmarks try to cover many of the popular games out today to represent somewhat of a wide selection of games. That said, performance will also be reliant on your preferred resolution. Based on our data, at 1080p, our CPU is holding the GPU back, and the memory may also be playing a part in this as well. Bumping up the resolution, this puts more load in the GPU, where we see that both a Core i7-12700KF and a Core i9 13900K results in near similar performance on the majority of games. So did it choose good parts? For the most part, yes, there is a good mix of ASUS TUF Gaming and ROG products after all, but some do stand out. I am particularly not a fan of the fans of the ROG Strix LC2. It is quite audible. I think that's the term, audible. It's not noisy, but it can be if you're in a very small room. So if you're putting this on top of your desk, it will get audible. The RAM and the SSD also get a light scolding. While the SSD is fast, 500 gigabytes just feels like charity rather than a paid inclusion in this bundle. RAM, on the other hand, could be better but isn't necessarily a must change. And that leads us to value. IT World prices this build at 204,995 pesos. Nearly half of that goes to the GPU alone, which brings up a very important point here. Will this just be a gaming PC or a workstation? If your answer is you plan to recoup your expense by using it for work, then by all means, this is a very capable system. But if your purpose is just to get this system for pure gaming, then you need to be ready to pay the ROG tax, and it is quite premium. What you get in return is a very well-cooled GPU, a robust motherboard, a tanky and expandable chassis, and a power supply made with a very long warranty, and also very good efficiency. All in all, the IT World powered by ASUS gaming PC performs as expected, and while quite audible, it is just one fan upgrade away from being your gaming PC for the next few years. I can relate. I plan to keep my similar spec build, a 12th Gen plus 4080, for a very long time. The IT World Aries TND powered by ASUS gaming PC is available now from IT World for 204,995 pesos on both Shopee and Lazada. You can also visit IT World at their new physical location at Batangas Street, corner Abad Santos, Tondo, Manila. All components are covered by their respective individual warranties. This has been your boy Boss Mac and BackToGaming.com. If you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to like the video, comment the video, and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.